Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. And thank you especially to the people who help make this possible for you every single day with their support at patreon.com/SW7x7. Well, it's the first of the month. It's July of 2024, and so we're going to do what we usually do on the first of the month, which is talk about what is coming in the world of Star Wars storytelling for the month. But before we do that, I do just want to say that this is also the month where Star Wars 7x7 celebrates its 10th anniversary. On Sunday, July 7th, we will officially hit 10 years since the podcast went live, and there will be announcements about what we're doing related to that in the days and weeks to come, so please stay tuned for that. All right, let's kick things off with movies. The Mandalorian and Grogu was alleged to start filming last month, but we haven't seen any announcement about it yet. It would be a great time in the month of July to officially confirm that that is actually happening, but those sources saying that it was going to start in June were not official sources, so we're all like fingers crossed on this basically, but it is about the right time for them to get started with filming if they are going to be hitting a May of 2026 release date. I mean, they've got a little time still, like it's not cutting it that close. But for at least one reason we'll talk about later in the podcast, this would be a good month for them to actually confirm it. On the Rey Skywalker New Jedi Order front, Daisy Ridley was doing press for her movie The Young Woman in the Sea, which came out at the end of May, and she's still talking about how she is just about to see a script. She hasn't seen it, but she expects it any day now, and we haven't heard an interview from her where she says, I've seen a script now, but she's still excited about the movie and still saying that she expects that filming could start by the end of this year, possibly the beginning of next year. That would also still be well within the bounds of getting it into theaters in December of 2026, if that's the one that they've got on the schedule for it. And then looking at the other two movies that were announced back at Star Wars Celebration in 2023, James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. Who knows when that's going to happen? Right now he is in post-production on a Bob Dylan biopic with Timothy Chalamet, and he is attached to 2 other pictures, so yeah, waiting for word on that one. Dave Filoni has talked in interviews about how he has a great opening in mind for what would be the Mandoverse movie that he'll be working on. But aside from that, no other news. And just to touch base, there are potentially 3 other movies in various stages of development. Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie, we haven't heard anything about that for a while. Sean Levy's movie, he's working on Stranger Things stuff, so yeah, he's not going to be anywhere near a Star Wars movie for a while. And the Glovers, Donald and Steven, working on a Lando movie. Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. On the live action series front, we have The Acolyte running out. It will hit its season finale on July 16th, and the way they just laid the 5th episode on us, hopefully it will continue that momentum. Fingers crossed. We have Skeleton Crew coming up, allegedly being released at the end of this year, and then we have Andor Season 2, which is in post-production right now, Ahsoka Season 2, which is in pre-production / development, and that's all we know about live action series. I have talked about the possibility of a Season 4 of The Mandalorian, and how just because we have a Mandalorian and Grogu movie doesn't necessarily mean that we won't get a Season 4. I imagine that something will be done with the scripts that they had in development. Maybe some of that's going to be in the movie, but those shows go on for a lot longer than movie-length things, so there's probably some stuff from those scripts that would be utilized in later storytelling. On the animation front, yeah, nothing. Bad Batch is done, and we got Tales of the Jedi, which was Tales of the Empire, a lot earlier than we thought we would. The only thing that we know that's in development right now, allegedly, is a droid story, but we haven't heard anything about that for 3.5 years, basically. And then the possibility of Young Jedi Adventures, and yeah, that's about it. On the books front, we only have one major release coming this month. That is The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. It's written by Dr. Chris Kempshall, who's been a guest on the podcast before, and it is a telling of the 24 years of the Galactic Empire from the perspective of apparently Beaumont Kin, who we met in The Rise of Skywalker, and the story is being told, or the history book is being written, I should say, after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. So it's an in-universe examination, and though it does focus on the 24 years of the Empire, it also talks about things that led up to the beginning of the Empire. So there's stuff about Palpatine's life and the Clone Wars and so on and so forth. And there are mentions of sequel era history too. I haven't seen anything about an audiobook release for this. I hope it gets one. I mean, I think that would be really cool. And there are no other audiobook releases on the radar for July. Also, there are no short story releases on the radar for July. The next issue of Star Wars Insider Magazine will be issue 227. That's not coming out until August. And the story that's going to be in there, there had been some questions about what it would be because it's not going to be part of the Lydia Kang High Republic Phase 3 storytelling thing that's happening. It's being written by Alyssa Wong, and it turns out that they're doing a story that is set in the High Republic era. It's just taking place on Corellia. There had been some question about whether it would be set in a different timeline, but nope, this one is happening in the High Republic era as well. On the comic book front, it's comparatively light month. We have Star Wars 48 and Darth Vader 48. We have the High Republic number 9, High Republic Adventures 7 and 8, and then the finale of the High Republic Adventures Saber for Hire miniseries. That's issue number 4. We're also starting a new miniseries called Inquisitors. That's going to be a 4-issue run. The Ahsoka series is getting an adaptation, and the first issue of that is coming out. And then the Darth Maul Black, White, and Red miniseries gets its 4th issue. On the video game front, nothing really happening this month other than probably the final bells and whistles being put onto Star Wars Outlaws, which comes out at the end of August. Star Wars Hunters came out last month in a general release, finally, and I've been seeing lots of people saying very pleasant things about it, so that's really good to see. On the virtual reality front, this is another one of those situations where I keep saying we're due for something, and month after month after month goes by and we haven't had any announcements yet. So yeah, oh man, I hope it's coming soon. On the streaming front, we're not expecting anything new to be added to Disney Plus aside from, the live action stuff for the Acolyte that we talked about earlier. And on the merch front, there should be something coming this month, and that leads me to the last category, which is the live events front, and this also ties into why we might hear other things about other Star Wars projects, because San Diego Comic-Con is happening this month. It is from July 25th to July 28th this year. Lucasfilm will have a booth there this year. What they're going to have on display, we don't know yet, and what they're going to be doing there, we don't necessarily know yet either, but the folks running San Diego Comic-Con say that their full programming schedule is going to be released the week of July 8th, so we'll keep an eye on that and let you know what it is that they've got planned. And that's what I've got for you when it comes to Star Wars storytelling in the month of July 2024, what we have to look forward to, and that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. If you enjoy the show, please help me get it out to more people who would like a daily dose of Star Wars joy in their lives. You can do that by teaching the algorithms with ratings and reviews if you haven't done those already, and the likes and the comments and the subscribes and the joins and the follows and all that fun stuff. You can just tell people that you know that like Star Wars and are great positive people. Just tell them online, tell them in person, wherever you connect with people, and you can even help me as an independent creator keep producing this dose of Star Wars joy, and you can learn more about that at patreon.com/SW7x7. And it just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for this episode, as always, and may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyrighted by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.